Alright kiddos, so we're going to multiply and divide some rationals today, which is just like multiplying and dividing fractions from before. The rules are the same. The first thing we're going to do, however, before we get ready to multiply and divide rationals, is we're going to factor anything that we can so we get it in its simplest form. That way, hopefully, we can cancel some stuff out and make what's there a lot easier to deal with. So if we look at this first problem, the b plus 1 can't be factored. Neither can this 8b squared or this 2b cubed. But this b squared minus 1 is a difference of two squares, and I can factor it. So this one stays the same, b plus 1 over 8b squared. This 2b cubed, I can't do anything with either. But this b squared minus 1, since it's a difference of two perfect squares, becomes b plus 1 and b minus 1. And when we go to simplify, you can simplify any numerator and any denominator. What you cannot do is simplify numerators with numerators or denominators with denominators. It has to be a numerator and a denominator. So this b plus 1 and this b plus 1 cancel each other out. At the same time, I can simplify 2 over 8 because it's just like having this fraction 2 over 8, which simplifies to 1 over 4. So that's going to be a 1, and this now is a, I'm going to change colors so it's easier to see, a 4. And this b squared will cancel out 2 of the b's from here, leaving me with just 1. So it's just a b. So what I have remaining in the numerator is a b. In the denominator, I have a 4 and a b minus 1. So I have a 4 here and a b minus 1 here. You have now multiplied those two rationals together, and all we did was factor, simplify. That's really all that happens. We're going to do the next one. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to factor anything we can. So this numerator right here, this 2x minus 2, I can factor out a 2, leaving me with an x minus 1. As if I do 2x divided by 2, I get an x still remaining. If I do 2 divided by 2, I have a 1. X plus 4 I can't do anything with, though, so we're going to leave it x plus 4 times. Now x squared minus 16, just like b squared minus 1, is a difference of two perfect squares. So its factors become x plus 4 and x minus 4. And if you're stuck and confused on how I factored that difference of two squares, somewhere on my channel is a video called Factoring Special Products. A difference of two squares is a special product, and there will be an explanation in there. Down here in the denominator, I'm going to have to factor this x squared minus 3x plus 2. Well, because they left this as just an x squared, the factoring's simple. I need two numbers that multiply to make 2, that when I add make a negative 3. Well, the only way to multiply two numbers and add the same two numbers and get a positive when you multiply and a negative when you add is that both numbers are negative. So I have negative 1 and negative 2. Well, when I add those, they certainly make negative 3. So this becomes x minus 1 and x minus 2. Well, now I'll start canceling things. I'm going to switch to my red pen so we can see what I canceled. This x minus 1 will cancel this x minus 1. This x plus 4 will cancel that x plus 4. And now I have nothing left. I don't see any numerator or denominator that will now cancel each other out. So I'm going to multiply 2 times x minus 4 over, and the only thing in the denominator is x minus 2. And if you want to get fancy, you can go ahead and distribute. This becomes 2x minus 8 over x minus 2. Either one of those answers is acceptable. If you stop here and say I'm done, that's fine. If you multiply out and distribute that 2 through in the numerator, that's fine too. They're equivalent answers. They mean exactly the same thing. I don't care which one you do. Now let's talk about division. Remember, when you divide with fractions, the rule for dividing with fractions is that when you have a division problem and you have two fractions, you leave the first fraction alone, you change the sign to multiplication, and then you flip the second fraction. But before we do any of that fancy stuff, we're going to factor. Anything that we have is going to get factored. So we're going to take this x squared minus 25, again a difference of two squares, so I have x plus 5 and x minus 5. My denominator will also factor because they both have an x cubed, so I'm going to take out an x cubed, leaving me with an x minus 5. Then I have my division sign because I haven't done anything yet. I've got to factor this x squared minus 6x plus 5, so I need two numbers that multiply to make 5, that add to make 6, so it's 1 times 5. So I have x plus 1 times x plus 5. And in the denominator, I have 8x cubed. Now I'm going to keep change flip. I'm going to keep this first one the same, x plus 5 times x minus 5 over x cubed times x minus 5. I'm going to make this multiplication, and I'm going to flip this over so it becomes 8x cubed over x plus 1 and x plus 5. So now we're going to start canceling numerators and denominators. So this x plus 5 will cancel that x plus 5. This x minus 5 with that x minus 5. This x cubed with this x cubed. I don't have anything left except for 8 over x plus 1. Done. So let's do this last one. We're going to factor first. I can't do anything with this first fraction. I'm going to draw a line here so we can not get confused. This right here doesn't factor. I have 4x cubed y squared, no common denominator, no anything happening, and then 2x to the 6th y. We're going to leave that like it is, divided by. This numerator, however, this xy plus 2y, there's a y I can pull out, leaving me with x plus 2. And then this, I can factor x squared minus 3x minus 10. I need two numbers that multiply to make negative 10, that when I add give me negative 3. So negative 5 times 2, that gives me negative 10 when I multiply. It also gives me negative 3 when I add, so I end up with x minus 5 and x plus 2. So now I'm going to keep change flip. So leave this alone, 4x cubed over y squared over 2x to the 6th y times, now flip, x minus 5 times x plus 2 over y times x plus 2. So now let's see what we can get rid of. Well, here 4 over 2 simplifies because 4 divided by 2 is 2. This x cubed cancels out 3 of these, so I have an x cubed left down here. This y squared will cancel out one of those y's, leaving me with 1 on top. And then over here, this x plus 2 will cancel out this x plus 2, and this y will cancel out the y that was left. So I've now canceled out everything I can possibly come up with. So over here, I have a 2 times x minus 5, so I have 2 times x minus 5 over, and in the numerator, I have an x cubed left, and that's it, because everything in the other numerator canceled out. So here's what you have. Again, like I told you on the other page, if you distribute this through, so you get 2x minus 10 over x cubed, you can simplify to there, or you can leave it with the parentheses and not distribute. They're equivalent. They mean the same thing. I don't care how you leave the answer. So that's multiplying and dividing. The big thing to remember is, number one, factor first. Anything that can be factored, factor it, so that you can cancel stuff out and simplify. Then if it's a division problem, remember to keep change flip after you factor, and then cancel what you can, multiply what is remaining. So that is that. If you are still having questions, make sure you come and see me.